can't remember the last time I cried while watching a movie because I have already conditioned my mind that, you know what, this is just a movie and not a real life situation. But in this movie, unexpected places, I was holding on for some time, and at a point I couldn't anymore and I had to let it out. Like, I actually allowed the tears to flow. And that is because the storyline, the character, and everything in this particular movie is different from what you're used to. Like, it's quite different from the usual Nigerian movie. Trust me. And I highly, highly recommend. But before then, guys, hello besties, you're welcome to Movie Review and Recommendation 101. And in this particular episode, we are going to be talking about the most talked about movie right now on the internet, and that is Unexpected Places. This movie is featuring the likes of Timini and, of course, the producer who happens to be Bimbo Ademoye. This movie is one that will keep you glued to your screen. Like, I'm that kind of person that I don't waste time. I kind of predict what will happen. So I don't waste much time watching a particular movie. But when it comes to this movie, I didn't want to skip any part of it because I wanted to get the whole info, the whole gist, and all those stuff. And trust me, guys, it was worth my time. It was also worth my data, considering the fact that data is money here, all right? So I watched this particular movie from the beginning to the end, and it was a lot. Like, the emotions and everything, it was as if it's not just a movie, it's something that is happening live, because all the characters in this particular movie ate their character and left no crumbs. Let me give you the backstory, guys, and you will probably choose if this is the kind of movie that is worth your time or not. So this movie is featuring the lives of Bimbo Ademoyo, whose character in the movie is Prosper, and Simini, whose character in the movie happens to be Christopher. Okay, and Christopher, being Simini, is one guy who is so reckless, drinks, humanizes. In fact, he does a lot of bad things. Trust me, he drinks, he smokes anything, and he humanizes and all that. And guys, not just the womanizing aspect, he always get his heart break on the process. Now talking about Timini, who happens to be Christopher. He has this particular housekeeper who at a point got so sick and decided to take a sick leave. Actually, she went for a surgery, but then he asked for a replacement, and because the lady doesn't want to lose her job, she had to send her daughter to take her place while she undergoes the surgical operation. Now, on the process of it, Timini is just a whole lot to handle, complains about a whole lot of things, and the girl was just holding on. Now, this particular girl acted as a character Prosper in this movie, and she happens to be Bimbo Ademoye. Now, on the other side, Timini is from a family, a very wealthy family, who feels that, you know what, for him to be able to, or rather to continue getting allowance from the family business, that he has to become responsible. And their way of ensuring that he is becoming responsible is for him to have a girlfriend and possibly a fiance and plan to settle down. And Simini, who happens to be a player, is not ready for this kind of life. Like, he's not cut out for the marriage thing yet. So he had to make a plan with, Prosper. Remember, the daughter of the housekeeper who went for, surgical operation, that she should act as, his girlfriend and possibly his fiancée. That what will happen is she is going to pay her the sum of 500,000 naira, and the lady had to say, you know what, I'm not doing this. If you want me to play this game with you, then you should be ready to pay as much as 1 million naira. And man, it was a deal. Now, on the process of this, Timini's life began to change. He began to like feel or act responsibly, and a lot of things changed about him, and before you know it, boom, they are already in love with each other. Now calm down, calm down, calm down. Now that was when the problem started. You would say that, okay, thank you, the usual Nigerian film, he's repented and all those stuff, he's ready to settle down and all the rest of them. But guys, that was just the beginning of the problem. Being that Chris is someone who has been living a very reckless life, it got to a point that the liver became affected. The liver is responsible for detoxification of substances like drugs and all that. But at the point, being that he was taking in hard substance, was taking in a lot of alcohol and all the rest, the liver failed. The father tried everything possible to make sure that he donates his own liver, but then it was rejected. And that was when the real story of why and what led him into his reckless life came up. He lost his mother and could not get the closure he needed from the father, because the father was also mourning. And according to the father, he said that Christopher looked so much like the mother. So each time he comes around Christopher, the pain, like, it starts all over again. He starts feeling the pain of losing his wife again. As such, he kind of kept Christopher away from him, and this kind of affected Christopher because there was no form of closure, no form of parental care. The mother who is supposed to care for him is no longer alive, and the father, who is the closest relative of his, decided to keep him at a distance, because each time he comes in contact with him, he feels the pain again. And as such, Timini resulted into drinking and taking different kinds of medication, drugs, and all the rest of them, and this affected his liver. And this was at the point where he's already in love, living responsibly, acting responsibly, and all those stuff. And the parents understood the fact that, what, Timini is actually, or rather Christopher is actually in love, and they supported him. He engaged the lady and all those stuff. But then liver has failed. There is no way of getting a transplanted liver, if not from the father, who could not be a match to. And at the end of the day, guys, they had an option. When the crisis come, like when he has this crisis, he always feels so much pains and all the rest of them. And in a way to kind of keep him away from the pain that he feels, the family resulted into inducing coma, and that was it. It was a 50-50 chances that he's either survive it or he goes from there. And guys, this guy ended up keeping a lot of memories that he had with the lady. And trust me, what gave me joy in all this is that at the end of the day, while we were having the discussion, his last day in the hospital, he got to find out that he was going to be a father. And aside that, guys, he actually has a diary which has records of all their beautiful moments together and all those stuff. And guys, the coma, the induced coma, he couldn't survive from it, and that was how he left. Like, I can't even explain this movie more. I just need you to head over to Bimbo Ademoye TV on YouTube. Yes, it's not a Netflix thing, don't worry. If you're not subscribed to Netflix, do not worry. You can get this in Bimbo Ademoye TV on YouTube and watch the whole video. Please try as much as possible not to cry. Don't be like me. Be a bigger baby, okay? Until I see you all in my next video, please go watch the video and tell me, or rather watch this movie and tell me what you feel about it in the comment section below. As always, guys, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.